Okay, there's on the ballot this year are amendments for abortion. I'm familiar with the ones in Florida, so I guess we could start with those.
And it's useful because the Florida one is pretty much identical, other than a single pro-life one, to the rest of the country, and two unique ones at the county level in San Francisco and Amarillo. The rest are identical to Florida because the pro-choice movement has taken a big gamble.
Okay, let me see. This is the one. Let me see here. This is my Florida. Okay, this is it. I hope that this is the right amendment. This is Amendment 3 is marijuana, 4 is abortion. Ballot title, an amendment to limit government interference with abortion. Ballot summary, no law shall prohibit, penalize, delay, or restrict abortion before viability or when necessary to protect the patient's health, as determined by the patient's healthcare provider. This amendment does not change the legislature's constitutional authority to require notification to a parent or guardian before a minor has an abortion. Now, let me just take this out and come back to the way it's being described over on Ballotopia. Right. This is Amendment 4. Okay. Amendment 4, if you can get past all of the cookies. A yes vote supports adding the following language to the Florida Constitution's Declaration of Rights. No law shall prohibit, penalize, delay, or restrict abortion before viability or when necessary to protect the patient's health, as determined by the healthcare provider. Okay. What is that? Like, I read that, and the first question I ask is, okay, fine. So you cannot prevent it before viability. I don't know when that is exactly. I don't know if that's specified anywhere. And to protect the patient's health. Having seen that woman come out and say, well, that health includes also mental health, I then question whether or not this has any limitations. So you can't restrict it before viability or after viability when necessary to protect the patient's health, as determined by their doctor. So you want to break it down. Do you know if that includes mental health? And is that basically you get a doctor to say, I can do it at any point and it's going to be allowed if you vote yes on that amendment?
That's exactly what it is. So okay. They originally sold this as overturning the heartbeat ban passed in Florida. And it's been a lie from day one. The pro-choice community has decided to push the envelope. What they could have done is said when the patient's life is in danger as determined by a doctor. So that it's up to viability and post-viability only when it fits a self-defense rationale. Which you could argue for rape and incest as well. The problem is when you have abortion available before viability, the rape and incest defense argument doesn't really, doesn't sound like a self-defense argument anymore. But at a minimum, there is a legal logic behind late-term abortions, which is self-defense. But the self-defense, so let's look at what the self-defense law says. That's when the person is in danger of severe bodily injury or death. That's when you can execute lethal violence or probable lethal violence in self-defense. That's where many American voters are. I don't necessarily share their opinions. I'm just pointing out what the law is and where many American voters are. So if they wanted to get easy passage, and by the way, this is identical in almost every single state referendum, every state that it's at, they have patient's health, patient's health, patient's health, patient's health. It's meant to trick people, voters, into thinking
it means patient's life.
Your life is in danger, that this is a self-defense situation. And legally, you are allowed to execute your self-defense. You're allowed to choose your own survival over someone else, even if that someone else is entirely innocent at putting your life at risk. That's, people kind of forget that about self-defense. Your self-defense does not depend at all upon the other person's intent. The other person cannot be intending to cause you any harm at all. And you're allowed to execute lethal self-defense.
Just a ridiculous analogy to explain it. You're tied to a tree and a car is driving and the person's having a seizure and can't control the car and it's barreling towards you. And the only way that you can do it is by shooting the driver. Someone who's having a medical emergency that's going to threaten your life. They're innocent, mens rea wise. you would be entitled to exercise lethal force to protect your survival.
Right. And those close to you in many places. The great bodily harm can be caused to someone else. So to protect your kid's life, you have to take somebody else's life, even if that other person is innocent. You're legally entitled to do so.
If I may ask, who drafted the amendment?
Oh, it's pro-choice communities all across the board, and because the amendments are identical, and they clearly made a tactical decision that they could get away with getting conservative states to approve late-term abortions for purely selective reasons that they know that voters in all of these states, even liberal states, oppose. So the public opinion is pretty clear on late-term abortions, post-viability abortions, which is these are 8-month abortions. That these are abortions that should only happen when the mother's life is in imminent risk of severe bodily harm or death. It's basically the exact same standard as self-defense. That's and that's where that community concept comes from, reflected in the public opinion. They know that, and yet they didn't choose to use that language. They use language that sounds like it, but is it really it at all? This health is so broad, so generic. It's whatever a doctor says health is. And since the medical community is filled with a bunch of lefties, that can be literally, I'm going to feel bad if I continue to have this baby at 8.5 months. That's health. This is a great, every one of these so-called pro-choice referendums is allowing them to kill a baby one day up to birth if they just feel like it because a doctor says it concerns their mental health. That's how pro-abortion these amendments are. Even Trump, when he first, because Trump was like, oh, I'm not sure about the heartbeat bill. And he's like, no, hold on a second. I didn't realize this part about the health part. What does that mean? Trump himself didn't know what it actually meant, was misled as to what it actually meant. So like I said, people I know here in Nevada, strong pro-choice, Harris voters, all the rest, when they figured this out, they're like, no way, I'm voting no on that. And these are strong pro-choice voters. But like, we don't need to have abortions at 8.5 months. Even your average pro-choice voter opposes late-term selective abortions. Always has, like everybody else does. So they're trying to sneak one in over on the electorate. And I hope enough of the electorate rejects their effort to do so.
Well, let me help.
By the way, it's the same, for those wondering, it's the same in Colorado.
Hospitals.
Oops, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead and play that. And then
because this is, I forget her name now. I'll have to play picture in picture. What is picture in picture? Get out of there. Okay, I won't play the whole thing. I'm just going to try to find the points.
It would repeal Virginia's informed consent mandatory ultrasound and 24-hour delay. It would repeal the requirement that second trimester abortions be performed in a hospital licensed by the State Department of Health.
Continuation of the pregnancy would impair the mental health of the woman. How late are we talking about?
Well, so the way the suggestion that we've made in the bill is to say it's in the third trimester and at the, with the certification of the physician. So
how late in the third trimester would you be able to do that?
It's very unfortunate that our physicians, witnesses, were not able to attend today to speak specifically.
No, I'm talking about your bill. How late in the third trimester could a physician perform an abortion if he indicated it would impair the mental health of the woman?
And
physical health.
Okay. I'm talking about the mental health.
And then we'll get to the end here.
Result to protect either her life or the mother's health, or
I'm really short.
Where she said,
or
I think it's here.
Life is actually in danger.
Mr. Chairman, I am aware that there are certain medical conditions where that might be an option for the mother, and I would actually turn over to Galina from NARAL to see if she has those specific medical examples.
Okay.
Well, there was the part where she says
she's kept dodging and dodging and dodging.
Oh, yeah. No, but she admitted one point.
Answer. Well, the whole third trimester, up until the baby is born, you can kill it as long as a doctor says that the mother's mental will be emotionally distressed.
No, the judge
forward with it.
The judge said
classic selective late-term abortions that 80% of Americans completely oppose. And the pro-choice community is trying to trick, and the media is trying to trick America's voters. And this includes it's Amendment 4 in Florida, Amendment 79 in Colorado, Amendment 139 in Arizona, Question 1 in Maryland, Amendment 3 in Missouri, the 128, CI 128 in Montana, Initiative, let's see which one, Initiative 439 in Nebraska, Question 6 in Nevada, Proposal 1 in New York, wants to extend discrimination laws. That's analogous there too. And to a degree, South Dakota's Constitutional Amendment G. So just vote no on every pro-choice abortion amendment. Even if you're pro-choice, just vote no, because they're trying to get you to legalize and constitutionalize late-term selective abortions. And the pro-choice community should pay a price for this shenanigans, for these tricks, for this deception on the American voter and the media for not highlighting this and lying about this to the American voter, like they did in the debate, where they said late-term abortions can never happen. Well, it's on the ballot in 8 states.
Because I'm going to find the part where she says, where the judge asks her, she says, she's dilating. Under your bill, would they be allowed to terminate the baby? And she says, flipping through pages, yeah. I mean, I put that video out a while ago. I just shared it in the link. So the bottom line, when I'm reading through this, and I picked up on health, it doesn't say life, and it doesn't have any temporal limitations even afterwards. So they say viability, which is already to be determined. What is the scientific consensus now, if there is one, or the legal one, for viability?
There isn't. So, I mean, that's its own problem. I mean, these are inviting vagueness in its terms. What they're doing is they're relying upon certain common conceptions and perceptions created by Roe over the years. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're piggybacking off of. And the sort of general pro-choice sentiment up to a point, and they're trying to manipulate that into getting something that they could never get past if it was honestly discussed with the electorate.
All right, so the bottom line, you're voting no on this because otherwise, if you believe,
if you're for abortion, no matter what, all the way up to 9 months, then obviously you can vote for all of these because they support your position. If you're not, if you oppose abortion being a selective abortion all the way up to 9 months, then your only vote is no on these in terms of the law.
And then they'll have to come back and if they vote no in Florida, then they're stuck with the heartbeat bill until they can. Yeah. How often do you get to propose these types of amendments and vote
every
on
2
them?
years, basically. So
okay.
They can keep coming back at it and again and again. Okay. But I hope they've damaged their credibility in ways that hurts them for a long time, because this was such a sneaky, sleazy thing to do, and it shows what down deep, the pro-choice community is a baby-killing eugenics movement. Always has been. So I don't respect them, never will. That I understand some of the legal, philosophical, and moral arguments for certain aspects of bodily autonomy, topping life in certain contexts at certain time periods within the pregnancy. But all that being said, if you know anything about this movement, you know never to trust them. That even if you lean pro-choice, you cannot trust the leaders of that movement. They hate life, fundamentally. They hate life. They always have. They always will.
If you had any doubts, people, I found the clip. Now, the section, listen to this. This is it, Robert. Look at her face, squirming.
Where it's obvious that a woman is about to give birth. She has physical signs that she is about to give a birth. Would that still be a point at which she could request an abortion if she was so certified? She's dilating.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, that would be a decision that the doctor, the physician, and the woman would
understand
make
that. I'm asking if your bill allows that.
My bill would allow that, yes.
There you go. And so that seems to be the case as to what, as drafted, what this would allow. I'm in mental distress if this baby comes out. Okay, that's good to know.